Hey everyone, and welcome back. So now we're actually going to start building out a bit of a system, so we have a little bit of structure and we can start, using these variations of like these font families in a bit more flexibility. So let's just move this over. We really don't need it anymore. I'm going to keep it there. Okay, so we have Laura here. I'm going to delete these two because I chose Laura and I chose Inter. So let's get to it. Let's start with headings. So based off of going up that 4-8 scale, it really depends on the type of headings I'm going to have. So I like to give myself a little versatility. Like I said, this can possibly change later, but I'll do something like I'll give anything for headings. I'll give like a line height of 125%. So that way they can stack on one another nicely like this. So you have that spacing between. So I'm just going to leave it like that. And the only thing I'm going to change here is I'm going to start just building out like a header 1, a header 2. I'll probably go up to maybe header 5. So I have like a lot of options. On mobile, I'm generally not going above 40 pixels in size for a heading. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to, duplicate that and just, duplicate it all the way down just by using Command or Control D. And then I'm going to go, 32 pixels, I think is a good part right here. You don't want to have a 40 and then a 36 because there's just not going to be enough contrast between the two. As you can see, you might as well not even do it. So 32, and then I'm going to go to 24, and then I'm going to go to maybe 18, and my final heading would probably be around 14. So there we go. We have our headings, and I think, that's going to be good for now. We'll just leave it at that. I would call this our body or our paragraphs. This is going to be our copy for that. And for this, I'm going to just make sure that it's a similar width to what we have up here for now. And I'll probably make just 3 different sizes and maybe a couple variations within those sizes. So once again, I'm using 150% for the height here. You can use something like 125 if you feel like that's something that's more in line with, what you want to use. I like to use 150. And this is what I'm going to do. What I generally do with body copy, I really don't go above 16 pixels. So I'm just going to keep it like that at 16 pixels. And then I'm going to have one at regular. And then I'm going to have, one maybe at semi-bold or medium. So that way there's there's different variations of the two because we may need both. So I'll do that. I'm going to take both of those, duplicate them and drag them. And I'm going to do that again. So I am going to select these. Now that they're both, I have the medium version and then the regular version. I'm just going to select both of those and just change the font size. So I'll just go 16 and then I'll go 14. And then I will go with this one just 12. So I have a smaller body copy. Not that I would use this too much. So, but I just want the option. Oops. Okay. So there we go. We basically have our, our styles. And I think the last thing that I haven't really thought about is making labels. So what we can do is we can take these 3 and drag them down. I'm holding Option while I'm dragging those. I'm just going to distribute them neatly and then bring them closer. So now that I have these 3 labels, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to write label on each of them. And I'm probably going to use maybe, it's either going to be regular or medium. We can even do at this point, we can also go ahead and say, okay, we need a regular version and a medium version or a semi-bold version for that label. for this one. And I'll just probably repeat these as well for the other sizes. So I have a semi-bold. And you may be asking me, like, why am I doing this? And it's because that, when we're thinking about, designing for software and screens, like, the one thing that graphic designers do is like, they come up with typographic systems for, posters and things like print in general, like editorial design and stuff like that. But we have to think about like different types of use cases. Not that it's harder or, less excruciating in terms of like how long it may take, but we have different use cases. Like we have to think about labels, like UI elements like that, labels for forms, labels for buttons, placeholders and all that kind of stuff. How does text and, and your color palette work together as you build those out? So I'm already thinking about like UI elements at this stage. And the one thing I'm going to do here is I'm actually going to set these UI elements to 125% because, if we do have like a note that we have to put in there, maybe 150% is too much for like a note in terms of the height. Or if we have like, a button label, I think that's fine for the spacing when we just have like a label within there or even a label above a form. So we've already created some sizes. And yeah, I think this is enough variation, at least for now.